Hafa sports fans, and welcome to a special edition of Sports Speak. We have 3 of the 5 Guam Olympians visiting us here at the GSPN headquarters, starting off with the senior member, Dr. Peter Lombard. Thanks, Pete, for stopping by and visiting us. Fresh off of their trip from Rio de Janeiro. Pete, tell us first, as the elder person of the 5. I know you got that all the time, right? But tell us first, what's the initial experience, you being a first-timer, a couple of them being second-timers, but this is something you've been looking forward to for quite some time.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure, elder, senior, those are all... certainly I felt like I could hopefully try to be somewhat of a mentor towards the other younger athletes. I mean, I was pretty much twice the age of everybody else there. A couple of them are still in college. One's just starting college, my alma mater. So, I wanted to talk to them not just about their sport, but also, hey, what are your career plans? What do you want to do with your life? And how does that fit in with your sports? I think a lot of pro athletes and high-level athletes end up finishing their careers and not really having a good, solid backup plan. I think from that perspective, I was offered something a little bit different to talk to everybody about.
They got a lot of smarty pants on this team, huh?
Yeah, everybody was super engaged, and we had some good conversations, a lot of fun, a lot of joking around. But we were there for a reason, to do our best, and we kicked back, and great camaraderie between the entire Guam delegation. It was just a really wonderful group to be together.
So when we spoke a couple of months ago, you were really, really focused on your aim to go to the Olympics. You went off island and you competed in a couple of competitions just to try and qualify. When you finally got there, it took your event was like close to last, like the day before closing ceremonies. How painful was that?
It was the same day as closing ceremony, so we basically took a shower, went and got ready for closing. So it was a little bit hard to stay focused, especially when the other athletes started going to the other events and just going out to eat, going shopping, and I was really still training 3 hours a day and trying to do all the right things to get myself prepared. So what can you do? There's going to be some events on the last day, and I just happened to be one of them. I think I would have taken advantage of trying to see some other events, but not to say it detracted too much. I was in Rio, so I'm willing to put up with a heck of a lot just to be there. So.
Now, talking about your event itself, the mountain bike, they created this course just for the Olympics. Now, my understanding is, you went through at least one lap, and then take us through that whole time and how you came about with your fall.
Well, they built the track over a year ago, so they actually had a test event about a year ago where a lot of the professionals actually got a chance to ride in a race on this course. So a lot of them came in having already seen all the technical sections. And at the Olympics, they didn't open it up till about 3 days before the race. So everybody was out there the first day, and the first lap took me about an hour and a half to go through, just because I was stopping at every difficult section and I was trying to visualize where I wanted to go, down the rocks and on the steep climbs and everything. So second day, just kind of refining what you learned from the first day, and then you're really trying to start to put together some good smooth laps. And by the third day of training, which is the day before the race, I was able to ride through the whole course, even the tough sections, the more difficult lines down the rocks. So I was feeling pretty good. And then it rained that night before the race, and that definitely changed the course. I mean, nobody was really prepared for it, how it was going to change things. We didn't get a chance to practice with the wet course. And it made some sections really muddy, really slippery, and that was part of the issue for me with the course. Caused me to fall a couple of times in places I didn't fall necessarily on the practice lap. So a little bit disappointed that I couldn't ride through as well as I was in training. Ultimately, well, what can you do? I think I made the highlight reel for bloopers. And I think they said Guam a couple times on television, so that they got us a little publicity, I think.
Are you more disappointed in yourself because of the outcome, knowing that you trained so hard for all these years and you finally made it there, and only to result in a fall, or are you taking with a grain of salt and just accepting the result?
Yeah, well, I think that's bike racing. I wasn't the only one to fall. There's other professionals there that were probably hoping for a lot better results, and I heard a couple athletes had to be sent to the hospital too. So I'm just so happy I didn't hurt myself worse. Everything always can be worse, yeah. I was talking to my coach. I said, well, this was probably one of the worst outcomes we could have had here, but it's not true at all. Things could have been definitely worse. And sure, it's going to be hard to hide the disappointment of not knowing how well I could have done, how long I could have ridden. I think that the truth of the matter is, my level of skill on that course and my fitness level, it's just different than where those professionals are. I'm not sure how much more I would have been able to ride and be at 1 lap, 2 laps. It would have been nice to see, but I'm pretty certain I would have been pulled at some point from the course just based on time and falling behind. And that's just where we are, in cycling in Guam. I may be the best in Guam, but you put me up against the top in the world, and it's a struggle. But it's invaluable to see where they are, the preparation it takes them to get there, and just to see how smoothly they ride and how powerful they are, and how disciplined they are in their training. And I really wish, I wish I had some of the opportunities that they have as full-time riders to ride the courses that they do, and to devote the amount of time to training that they do. It's not just about time on your bike either. It's physio, it's getting massages, it's concentrating on your nutrition and meal preps, it's doing core work at the gym. All these things just take time, and they wake up in the morning and they have their day planned out. What am I going to do at 8 a.m., 10 a.m., 12 a.m., and I've got to wake up, and I'm already stressing about work. And so
eye doctors don't have that much time, right?
Well, I think there's probably a lot of other professional athletes or people that work anyways, and even guys in school. Everybody's got their other priorities that you have to consider. But yeah, I'd like to think that my job is a little bit more demanding than some others, and especially as an entrepreneur and trying to manage 9 employees, and that definitely was weighing on me a little bit too, being gone for a month. But my staff were great. They took care of everything while I was gone. They let me focus on the Olympics, and I did. I put the laptop away, and I didn't respond to emails, and I was just really focused on what we're there for.
Quick shout out to Lombard Health, man, and holding the fort down for Dr. Lombard while he was out there. Speaking of professionals, I hear you were able to ride with one of your idols for cycling.
Probably one of my best moments I had there was out riding with some of the best riders in the world. Peter Sagan, he's the world champion on the road bike, and he was riding the mountain bike race, but it was just incredible to meet him. And exchange a few words with him. I think I've never been so tongue-tied in my life. It was so weird just being in the presence of this this type of athlete who I've watched over the last few years and just grown so enamored with. Just to be able to talk to him and be next to him on the same trails. It was just amazing, and I'll definitely take that with me to the grave for sure.
Awesome. Finally, Pete, knowing you and the type of person you are, you're definitely going to be taking your experience and giving back to our island. What are your plans in the near future or in the long term, taking this experience and trying to grow the sport of cycling?
Yeah, well, I think there's some short-term and long-term things to think about. The long-term goals I think are going to come as time goes on, and I think the first steps that I need to do is I need to get some official coaching certifications. I really want to take that on. In Oceania and Australia, they offer some cycling coaches courses, and there's many different levels. So I think that's the first step for me. I think I can start to devote more time out of work towards coaching and seeing where we are in terms of development for our cycling program. It gets kind of hard. You got to decide you want to do more coaching or help with the management of the federations, and I think it's hard to. A little conflict of interest if you're doing both. So I think those are some of the decisions I'm going to have to make in the near term. Long term, we shouldn't be sending 40-year-olds to the Olympics. Really, if we're really concerned about growing our sport. Or our sports, if they're, we need to be developing our juniors and giving them the early experiences so that they continue to get better. And, I learned that, by watching, and, my coach when I was there was an Australian coach, his high-level performance coach, Chris Clark, and I learned a lot from him too. And, where they are in Australia versus where we are in Guam, it's just really, there's no comparison. And we have certain challenges here we just can't get around. So there's no easy answers. I mean, and I'm not, this isn't a new problem for us either. We've been working on these same issues, I think, for a long time. there's some inherent problems with the federations and interests and non-paid jobs and communication. There's so many issues, and in cycling in particular, it's just not a safe sport in general for kids to be doing. I don't begrudge parents for not really wanting to let their kids ride on the roads every afternoon to get some training in, but there's got to be some things that we can do, if not in cycling and other sports as well. But I think the dream that we all have someday is to see someone from Guam up on the podium getting a medal, and that's going to happen someday, and this was part of that process. We have to have the kids seeing athletes from Guam in the Olympics, and who knows who will be inspiring out there that's watching TV that has the talent and the wherewithal and the right circumstances to someday get up on that podium.
Thanks for joining us here. And as always, it's always an enlightening discussion with Dr. Peter Lombard, valedictorian from Naval Academy. One more thing before we go, Pete. Regine Tagati, she just enrolled over at the Naval Academy. What did you tell her, man? Give us the insights of the tips you gave her.
Oh wow, I feel so bad for her. I really do. It's the worst time of your life. It's horrible. So there's not much you can say. You commiserate with them. You recognize what she's going through, and what a difference. She's a big woman on campus in Guam. She's like, everybody knows her. She's modeling, she's in the papers, and then she goes to a school where she's getting yelled at. She's nobody, and I think that is kind of probably pretty hard for her. What do you want out of life? What sacrifices are you willing to make? And I told her, it's okay, be nobody for a while. It's good for your character. It's good, just as something that you're struggling through, and at the end of the day, you're going to look back and you're going to see all the great things that it gave you. So be nobody. You'll fly under the radar. You'll draw less attention to yourself. Don't be in the spotlight while you're there your first year. It'll make things a lot easier. And those were sort of my parting words for her. I hope she does well. Knowing her and what she's accomplished, I'm sure she will do just fantastic. But all depends on what she wants to do, and it's certainly not the place for everybody. And I had my doubts when I was there too, and I think she's the kind of person that could do well anywhere she is. So just super proud of her and being at my alma mater.
Awesome, and we're quite sure that Regine will do well there. So just wanted to ask you how that conversation went with her. So totally awesome. 2 Naval Academy, 1 current and 1 valedictorian, both on the same Team Guam for 2016.
She was born the year I graduated, so a little bit of a generational gap.
I didn't know that. That's a good intel there, and we're going to use that sometime. Dr. Peter Lombard, ladies and gentlemen, always a pleasure. We are going to take a quick break. When we come back, is 2-time swimmer Pilar Shimizu up on deck. We'll be right back. Half a day and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We have 2-time Olympian Pilar Shimizu in the house. Thank you, Pilar, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
So just fresh off of Rio, tell us about it, how that experience was. Again, you ventured off to London 4 years ago. This is your second opportunity. What's the difference between those two?
So the first thing that I noticed was that I was way more calm, more collected, just as excited, but going into Rio, I sort of had this knowledge of what to expect, what it's like to compete at that level, the pressure and all. So I think I was able to handle that a little bit better and I guess use it to my advantage. Yeah.
That's awesome. Again, so you and Benji have been the face of Guam swimming for quite some time. And again, going with Benji over to Rio, how comfortable is it knowing that your buddy is tagging along with you and you guys get to do it all over again?
So I've been swimming with Benji since I don't know, I was 8 years old, and we've been competing internationally since maybe 2009. So that's quite a long time to be competing. He and I are like siblings. Like, I consider him a brother. So to have someone like that there at an event where there's so much pressure, it's really comforting. And because we both had, very clear-cut goals going into the Olympics, I guess it's nice to have someone there that you can lean on just in case, you crack under pressure, or you just need someone to talk through things with. So it was really, really comforting to have him there.
Your events were right off the bat. I mean, opening ceremonies, and then boom, probably the next morning you guys were in the pool. Is that a little bit to an advantage or a disadvantage for an athlete, being right after the opening ceremonies?
So with the opening ceremonies, depending on where you're at in the athletes march, it's a lot of standing, a lot of walking around. So I guess it can take a toll. Thankfully, Benji and I were able to leave early from the opening ceremony to go back to the village and rest. And also, for the swimming events, the preliminary heats were at 1 p.m. So even though we got back pretty late, he still had a decent chunk of time to recover from this opening ceremonies.
And so the other female that was part of this delegation, Miss Regine Tagati, everybody knows her. She's the fastest woman, ever. And yeah, that's crazy. How was that? And I heard that you guys made really good friends out there.
So prior to this experience, I had no idea about anything regarding track. Like, I had so many questions for her. I was so stoked to be friends with the track runner or to be teammates with the track runner, because I just had no idea. Like, watching Josh and Regine's meet, that was the first time I've ever seen a track meet. So that was really, really cool. I was really excited. I was really excited for her because this is her first Olympics, and I tried to take every opportunity to, be her mentor or give her advice for everything. Yeah.
And she's got the sky's the limit with that girl. I mean, I don't think she expected to go to Rio, and she was aiming for 2020, but I'm glad she went in there. So, congratulations to her as well. So with you guys are there for a long time. The games are more than 2 weeks long. What do you guys do when your competition is done?
First and foremost, relax. The stress of, the mental stress, physical stress of competing and training, it takes a toll. So it was really nice to be able to relax. I am really into food, so I was excited to try all the local Brazilian cuisine. Of course, watching all the other events, we were able to watch gymnastics, volleyball, beach volleyball. That was really, really cool. In terms of sightseeing, we hit all the major sites, the Jesus statue, the Sugar Loaf, Copacabana, Ipanema. That was really fun. Of course, probably the highlight of my experiences there was hanging out with the other Oceania swimmers. Yeah, we're like a tight-knit family, so that was really cool.
And I got to ask you this, because out of the 5 athletes, there's a lot of high IQs on that team. You got a doctor, you've got someone going to pre-med, yourself at Johns Hopkins. I mean, what's the conversations like with you guys in the van?
Funny you should mention that. It was so interesting because I can't count the number of times that, Peter and I had a conversation about eye surgery, or Benji and Peter talking about international business, or Josh talking to me about how he's studying for the MCAT. It was either talking about our sports or talking about school. Yeah.
That's awesome. Finally, with your career, Pilar, some people say this may be your last ride as an Olympian. We got to hear it from the horse's mouth. Is this your last ride, or you're looking for one last go at 2020?
So officially, I'm not sure yet. There are a lot of things that I'd like to do with my career, so I'm not too certain if I'm going to be able to train and do those career stuff at the same time, so I'm just not sure. But if I decide to go to Tokyo, it's going to be something that I put my whole self into. So
And we'll be the first to know, right?
maybe.
Maybe her mom and dad, not GSPN, but we'll be like the third to know, maybe. Pilar, Shimizu, ladies and gentlemen, forever will be embedded in the Guam history swimming records and two-time Olympian. Congratulations. Whether you make it 3 times or not, we're so very proud of you. And congratulations. Thanks for stopping by to talk with us. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will have 800-meter runner, Josh Ilustre.
This is our point of view. If there's a better way, take it. If there's a mold, break it. If there's a trail, blaze it. If you see the future, shape it. If there's an icon, remake it. If there's a perception, escape it. If there's a road, race it. If there's a shortcut, never, ever take it. If it can save lives, embrace it. And if there's a dream to be chased, chase it. This is what we make. And this is how we make it.
Welcome back to Sports Speak, and our last and final interview for today is runner Josh Ilustre. Josh, thanks for joining us. And, still fresh off of the Olympics coming away, I think the biggest thing that everybody wants to know and know how it feels is what happened to your performance and the DQ that was issued to you.
So, for those that aren't familiar with the race, for the first 100 meters of the 800, we have to stay in our lanes. And so the DQ came from me stepping on the inner line on that curve. And so that's what gave me the DQ.
So I understand you also had you were able to do a protest, but it wasn't successful. How did that process go through?
So it was about maybe like 30 minutes after my race that I found out I was DQ'd. And so Derek and I went to the TIC room, the Technical Information Center room, where we get to file like protests and stuff. And so we did the paperwork there, and then after we did all that, it was a matter of just playing the waiting game till we find the results of that appeal.
So despite that, it was a great run by you, having PR'd under 2 minutes. That's unbelievable in anyone's standards. Usually an 800, it takes several minutes, but to come under 2 minutes is a very admirable time for you. Were you pleased with that?
Yeah, I mean, for me, that was an outdoor personal best. Like, coming into the race, my outdoor PB was 2:01, and so to be able to break 2 minutes, it was just a relief, really, despite the DQ. Yeah.
So now that you've done that, what kind of goals will you set for the outdoor track, knowing that you've broke that 2 minute barrier?
Of course, everybody wants to go after the national records. I think the Guam record is 1:53, so I think that'll be a goal.
Can you make it?
Yeah, for sure. Just need to keep training, stay healthy. Yeah.
Speaking of training, Josh just graduated from the University of Portland. He's going to be going back there to do some pre-med stuff. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. So, in a couple of years, he may be Dr. Josh coming back, which is awesome for Guam. How do you think you're, not only going to be focusing on pre-med stuff in med school, but also trying to sustain that the training needed to stay at a high level?
It'll be like, just balancing out school and like running as it was for me the past 4 years, except instead of school and studying, it'll be like working. So I think it won't be that big of a difference, really. Yeah.
So of course, 2020 in Japan is on your radar, but between now and then, what are the big track meets are you looking forward to doing?
Oh, definitely Oceania next year. I heard it's gonna be in Fiji, and so that's definitely one. And you know, since I'll be in Portland, I'll be able to run some of the open meets there too. So I have that to look forward to, and like you know, there's gonna be like competition, like a couple guys running like 156, 157. I think that's perfect for me. So, yeah.
Speaking of, the times and everything, your event was in the middle of the other 5 athletes of Guam. Looked like you guys really made a relationship, a lifelong relationship with all 5 athletes. How special was that? Supporting Pilar and Benji on the pole, them coming out to the track for you, and then finally with Pete Lombard.
I thought it was a good experience. I mean, like, I've never watched a swim meet or like was it mountain biking? Yeah, I've never seen, like, that was my first time like seeing all those competitions. So it was a humbling experience to see like the hard work that they put, and yeah, I'm really proud of those guys. Like, we really bonded as a team when we were back there.
So finally, again, you have 4 years into Tokyo. You didn't get your look into Rio until just a couple of months prior to the games when you knew that you were going. With that type of experience and going through the steps of Rio, what are you going to do now between now and Tokyo?
I mean, it's a lot of work. Like, if you wanna go to Tokyo, like for Guam, you're gonna have to start training now because you're gonna be going up against other athletes that are already training or they're going to train this year just for the 2020 Olympics. I think everybody wants to go to that one because it's like close to home. It's like basically in our backyard, and I'm sure there will be a lot of people from Guam that are gonna try to watch that. Yeah, so.
Josh Ilustre, ladies and gentlemen, our third and final Olympian, just coming straight from Rio de Janeiro with Rio Games and paying a visit here at the GSPN headquarters. Unfortunately, Regine had to go back to her school in the at the Naval Academy, and Ben as well, going back to Australia for his school. So, we got the 3 of the 5 here, and we're so grateful that they were able to stop by. And Josh is going to be leaving this week to go back to school as well. So thanks for stopping by, Josh. And thanks for Pete and for Pilar for stopping by as well. For everyone here at GSPN, I'm Patrick Lujan, and we are out.